Hi, my name is Aziz, and I am the founder of Script AI, which is an AI automation agency. And I am building AI assistants and AI chatbots and AI automation processes. And one very common question we as agency owners ask ourselves is, how do we price API usage, right? So more often than not, we are using APIs to expand the features of our assistants, right? So if, for instance, you're building a travel assistant like I have done, and you would want to have that feature of a weather assistant or a weather information feature, then how do you provide this? Of course, in that case, you'll be using APIs for this. So you're looking for a provider, and then you would use their API and integrate that into your assistant. And the question comes, or the question arises, how do you price this? Because, of course, many API providers provide a free tier. So up to a certain amount of calls, you're going to get everything for free. However, after a certain usage, it's going to get pricey, or it can get pretty pricey or expensive. And the question is, how do we deal with this? And there are a couple of common ways to price these, and we are going to go through all of them. So the first thing obviously would be to have a direct cost pass through, right? So that you charge your client exactly what you are being charged by the API provider, right? And this is best for clients if they are seeking transparency and when the API costs are relatively stable, you know? And the pro of that would be to have full transparency about the costs, and it's simple to administer. But the cons are obviously that the fluctuations can lead to client dissatisfaction, and also that you are not able to make a margin, a profit margin off of those API costs, you know? So that's something to think about. Now, the second way how you can handle API costs is if you add a markup on those API costs, which basically means that you add a percentage or a fixed markup to the base costs of the API before charging the client. And this is useful when you provide additional value, like integration, customization, or ongoing support. And the pros of that are that you generate additional revenue to the costs, and which this can be justified as covering additional services and support. The downside of this, however, is that clients may question the markup if they are aware of the base costs, and it requires transparency and justification of that added value. Now, the third way how you can handle API usage costs is to go for bundled pricing. So you incorporate the API costs into a bundled price for the overall project, so that you're combining various services into one price. And that is suitable for projects where APIs are part of a larger solution or where you're selling a package of services. The good thing about this is that you are able to simplify the billing process and that it's easier for the clients to manage a single payment. However, it does reduce the cost itemization and transparency in some way, and it does have the potential for a misalignment between cost and usage. Now, the fourth way how you can charge your clients for the usage of APIs is to have a subscription model. And this is actually one of my personal favorites because you are offering API services for a fixed fee that includes a certain level of usage over a period of time, monthly, annually, whatever. And that's ideal for clients with regular, predictable API usage. So the good thing about this is that it's predictable billing and it's easier budgeting for the clients as well. And especially, it's steady cash flow for you, right? Now, The cons are that you might need price adjustments based on actual usage patterns and its potential for unused services if the client's needs decrease. Now, another very interesting approach to handling API fees is to go for tiered usage pricing. So you set different pricing levels based on the usage of API, and you have different tiers for different usage levels. And that's especially effective when clients' usage varies widely and can be segmented into clear categories. And the good thing about this is that it's flexible for the clients, allowing them to switch, between the suitable tiers, and it's scalable revenue as the client's usage increases. But of course, you could have a little more complexity in regards to monitoring the tiers, and it has the potential to be dissatisfying for the client if they frequently have to shift tiers. Now, another very interesting approach to handling API usage fees is to go for performance-based pricing. Now, that's a little out there, but it's still interesting. So the price would be based on the outcomes or the value generated by the AI-driven functionalities. So you can use this when you can directly link the API performance to a measurable business outcome for the client. And the good thing about this is that it aligns with the costs of the value provided, and it increases the client satisfaction. And it does have the potential for higher returns if the API significantly improves the business outcomes. And the challenge in this regard is that it's sometimes hard to quantify these performance metrics, and you could have a risk of dispute or value assessment with your client. That's something you need to consider. And now the final approach to handling API fees would be to go for a mixture of the points we've talked about before. And this would be to have a free basic API and then an advanced one for advanced features. So you would offer basic API functionalities for free, and then with advanced features or higher usage limits that are available only for a fee. And this is great to encourage adoption among new or hesitant users or clients, and for market entry strategies, And the good thing is that it lowers the entry barrier for many of them, and it increases the client base, and that there are opportunities to upsell these clients as they grow. And the con, of course, is that the initial revenue would be lost, so from the free users, and the challenge in convincing new users or existing users to upgrade to a paid tier might dissatisfy them. So this is something you would also take into consideration. So this is my list, and to be honest, the one I am using the most is the first one, where you are just passing the costs through to the client and just not making any profit off of this, because it's the easiest one to sell. The client understands that there is a service that you are using and paying for to enable or advance their product or service. So this is the one I am using the most. And at the end of the day, the bundle one would be the one that would make me kind of nervous, where you're just packaging everything into a one-time fee, because you never know. It's unpredictable how they are going to evolve in the future, and maybe you're just making a loss out of these increased costs of API fees. And the markup one, I believe, so where you're even adding costs to the client to make a profit off yourself, is the hardest one to sell, in my opinion, because they are already aware that they are paying you for something that provides them value, and this is something that you should take care of in the first place when you are creating your offer, that there are costs involved that provide them value. So this is something I personally would also not recommend, or which is the hardest one to sell. But let me know what your thoughts are. Did I forget something? Did I misinterpret something? And I would like to hear your approaches and what you're making out of this. And thanks for watching.